accidentally miscalculated the amount of damage I had gotten before that, so it would have actually, I still would have been alive, but I probably would have gone down soon after that with the next hit.
Okay.
So you're like, well, you had like 1 or 2 HP then.
I think I would have had like 10 HP, but
that's a decent
I
jump,
think Bendar would have been after that, and he would have smoked me.
Yeah, that's what I thought, Tristan. So yeah.
It was interesting, and I'm excited to get into a little bit of the details in the final segment of today's episode. And then hopefully next week we will have, if Joseph continues to not be here anyway, we'll have more to say about it, and hopefully people will enjoy that. Alright, let's see here. Right, I need you, and you.
You, and you.
No.
But not you.
Yeah, hang on. I gotta remember to set this up to, like, that. No, come on. I keep highlighting what I want, and then it unhighlights before I can hit copy.
This is the Player 4 Podcast. Join each week as we talk about video games, entertainment, and pop culture. Bring in guests, the Teeth community. Hello and welcome to the Player 4 Podcast. I am your host, Tristan, aka Shagrazir on the Rooster Teeth website.
I am Alex, aka Chaos Black 21.
And I'm Malachi, aka Tsukihiba.
I totally didn't just have to get up and run over and turn off my fan and air conditioner. Because I totally didn't forget to do that before hitting go.
It's okay, you made it.
I did. Alright, so, got a few topics to throw at you today. For the first topic, I wanted to talk about a trip I took down south to visit some friends of mine, actually friends from RTX. Related to RTX, we got an announcement talking about that. Then we wanted to talk about Borderlands 3, apparently twice. That's not accurate. And then, if we, with time permitting, I wanted to let my players here talk a little bit about what happened in the latest session of D&D, since we don't have a Joseph. Okay, I know what to do.
No Joseph.
No Joseph. Right.
Alright. So, Tristan, where did you go?
I went down south. I went to the state of Louisiana. And
to the bayou.
The bayou. The boyou. I went to Baton Rouge, and I spent the day in New Orleans for one of those days. Nolans. NOLA, as they call it.
Yes.
I'm still messing with how I
Did you get some gumbo?
I didn't, but I did have some Cajun food.
I love Cajun. Oh, well, okay. I have the idea that I'll love Cajun food because I love spices.
Yeah.
But I know there's going to be some Cajun food where I'm just like, no, I don't.
I don't want this.
It's a texture thing. But I do want to go down to New Orleans sometime and actually try some like real Cajun food.
Yeah, I think that one of my problems, and people give me grief about it, I'm sure, is that I'm not big into seafood, and of course Cajun food includes a lot of seafood, and just being in Louisiana, the cooking there includes a lot of seafood, and sometimes I can handle some fish and some shrimp, and the weekend that I visited, I just was not, like, my stomach wasn't there for it. I was just like, no, I really can't. I don't feel like I can do that, so I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
So I stayed pretty light, pretty topical, and just had some spicy sausage, red beans, and rice. That was really good. Went and stopped at a few other places. I think one of the most interesting things, like really kind of unexpected, it was one of my friend's birthday. We got together with some of her family, her mom, her sister, her grandmother, her stepfather, and we went to this ramen place called Jinya, and I think the best part about that was her tiny grandmother, who's clearly like never seen a chopstick before, trying so hard to like be part of what's going on and just like, you know, go outside of her comfort zone trying to eat this big bowl of ramen, not understanding what half the ingredients are, and going at it with a fork and rolling it like pasta. It's like, I love that you are here and doing this despite the fact that it is outside your comfort zone. I appreciate you so much right now, you tiny grandmother.
I'm not the greatest at chopsticks either, as you would attest when we went 2 years ago to a ramen place.
Daruma Ramen in Austin.
Yes, and I wasn't very good at it either.
It's
I
not
was able to
easy,
do
and
it.
ramen is not the easiest thing to eat with chopsticks.
Yeah. But that was my first time eating ramen, and it was good.
So I got to...
Like, yeah, sorry. The ramen that's not store-bought, because store-bought is not actual ramen.
Cupmen.
Yeah.
We call it cupmen, or cup ramen. But yeah, so this was not cup ramen. This was, you know, honest to goodness made. You know, they make the noodles, they make the broth, they add all the ingredients. It's all ramen. It is ramen. It was comparable, or very close to comparable to ramen I had when I visited Japan 8 years ago. And it was good. It was good. I had a good time. Another funny thing about that place was that they had adopted the Japanese cultural tick of welcoming people to the shop whenever a new customer entered. All of the staff would shout "irashai," which means welcome. But I was kind of like chuckling to myself, and the family was like, "What? They're all getting into it. They're all shouting it." I'm like, "But you're saying it wrong." I tried to help them pronounce it more correctly, and they just couldn't. They're just like, "It's a sound." I'm like, "Okay, you're doing good. Have fun." You know, shy. So yeah, I got to experience, you know, the southern hospitality. The family was very warm and welcoming, and there were lots of gifts exchanged for the birthday thing. Like, I think the biggest gift I usually get for my birthday every year is my mom usually slips me $100 to pay me back the gas from driving her and my dad around to the place where they got my dinner. And it's like, okay, I got $100 bill. All right, thank you. And then besides that, she might give me like socks. And what I saw was just this outpouring of stuff at the birthday, and I was just like, wow. Yeah,
Some people do birthdays hardcore.
Some people do birthdays. It was nice. It was good. This is not judgment. This is just, it's not something I've experienced in a while. It was like, whoa, people still give gifts. People still have birthdays. I don't, but other people do. That's good. That's good, and they're happy. And it was a good time. They took me to a zoo. It was first time I'd been to a zoo. We went to the big zoo in near New Orleans, and goodness.
I'll let you know, it's no St. Louis Zoo.
It's no St. Louis Zoo. But they had monkeys, and they had elephants, and they had giraffes, and they had an aviary where you got to be in there with all the birds just flapping around you and hopping around on the ground. That was cool. They had tons of like fish and snakes and frogs. And there was a lady holding a snake. I got to pet the snake, and they had this big spiky-shelled tortoise, not an alligator-back snapping turtle. They had one of those later. It was a big knobbly-shelled tortoise. I don't remember what kind of tortoise it was. His name was Taint, because he looks like a taint. This is what I was informed of when I went up to inspect the tortoise by the zookeeper standing over the tortoise. I wanted to ask how old he was, and he said he was like 30, 40 years old, and they live to like 60, 80. This particular tortoise lives to like 60, 80 years old. And yeah, that's all I really want to know. He goes, his name is Taint. because he looks like a taint. I'm like, you were just waiting to tell me that. Okay.
Yeah, you didn't ask for the name, so he had to get it out.
So then I bothered my friends for the rest of the day by every time we went by a turtle, I told them that turtle's name was also Taint.
Did they have a Kubriel?
Did they have any tigers? They had little lizards. They had lionesses. Did they have? Yeah, I think they had 2 Bengal tigers.
Nice.
As I recall. There were so many different little animals. I remember that we went to, like, I remember distinctly quoting Jeff Goldblum as we're walking through and we're reading all the signs about the animal that's supposed to be in the enclosure nearby and going, I don't see it. Where is it? Is it over there? No, that's a rock. I went, are there going to be any dinosaurs on your dinosaur tour? So, I do recall that there was one pen that said that it contained, a taper and a bunch of other things, which we found the other things, couldn't find the taper, and, the big rodent one. Ah, shoot, I usually know its name right off the top of my head. Anyway, it was
Is
wild.
It the one that makes friends with every other animal?
I think it's the one that's just huge. So
Capybara?
Capybara. That was it. You got it right. Look at you.
I mean, I kind of got it right. I messed up the first part of it.
Yeah, you knew what we were talking about, though. I couldn't remember its name. Yeah, capybara. And I'm looking around, I'm like, I don't see a capybara. I don't see a taper. And so we're walking along, and, all of a sudden I hear crack. And I look down right next to the pathway, and I go, huh. I found the taper. It was hiding under the pathway eating food. Because they had these raised boardwalk, basically, that the animals could go underneath, but you couldn't see
look under.
No, you couldn't. You couldn't. No, so I had no idea the animals could go under there. And suddenly this taper comes ambling out from beneath. I'm like, oh, there's the taper. Did I say capybara? I meant the taper. The capybara we had mistaken for a rock. It was sitting way out in the water, like way over there. So it wasn't until we got to a certain angle we're like, oh, that's not a big rock. That's the capybara. Hi, capybara. How you doing? So, there was a zoo. Had never visited one of those before. I'm told they do very good work in preserving, animal species that are endangered, protecting, and taking care of protected species. I was always very skeptical of this, so I feel that it is my responsibility to at least say that most zoos are, at this point in time, required to have very high standards for care of their animals, and there are just a couple in a few places, so don't, knock the whole brand. Some places are doing very good work.
Well, yes. As I said earlier about the St. Louis Zoo, it is usually considered one of the, if not the top zoo. It's usually back and forth between them and San Diego. And St. Louis has the advantage of that it's actually free, where San Diego you have to pay to get in.
St. Louis Zoo is free to go in?
Yep.
How do they support themselves?
The city.
Yeah, they're subsidized. Okay.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, no, we had to pay to get into the New Orleans Zoo. So, but it was nice. It was well kept. I remember that I stopped and there was a rest area, bathroom, and I went in there fully. So I'm like, okay, it's gonna be awful. Everything's gonna be wet. It's gonna stink. There's gonna be one stall and a flickering light. Especially because it was its own little separate building in an open pathway, right. It was this big roundabout area where there were 4 enclosures that you could walk around, and then there's this little tiny looking building right here with the 2 bathroom sounds. I'm like, all right, this is gonna man up and go in there, right? Open the door. It's air conditioned. It's clean. I'm like, what? It didn't stink. I was like, this. I came back out. I said to my friends, bathroom over there has no business being as nice as it is in the middle of a dang zoo.
Yeah, no, there's some really good zoos out there.
Yeah, no, I was impressed. I had a good time. We hung out. Ooh, I took my 2 friends who I was there to visit through a one-shot for D&D because I cannot get enough D&D.
No, you can't.
No, I can't. I can't. I'd been planning it for a while, and I thought maybe I would run through it with them the same way we play our Tuesday game, and then it was just really hard to kind of get them to focus on it, talking at them through the internet, so I'm like, alright, I'm just going to take it to them, and I'm just going to sit them down, we're going to do it. And I had specifically, I'd learned from the last one-shot I wrote, where I was trying to cram all this interesting story and stuff in there for the players that I was writing it for, and I realized that took way too long. That was like a 5-hour game. Can't do that. I was like, all right, here's this one. They're gonna get the intro stuff. They're gonna do a little fight against a dude. They're gonna go over here and they're gonna do a fight against a couple of dudes. And then they're gonna go over here and they're gonna fight a boss, and that's the end. Easy. And the best part is that even I love it when players engage. So with a one-shot, you're kind of supposed to... People talk about plot rails. People talk about plot rails and they say they're a bad thing. And in general, in a campaign, plot rails are a bad thing. I would say don't use plot rails in a campaign where you want your players to be making the decisions and guiding the story. That's their job. You wrote the world, let them write the story.
But in a one-shot...
the whole damn thing's supposed to be plot rails, because the whole point of the one-shot is you're supposed to tell one complete story in a single session. That session is probably only going to be 2 hours long, because people only have so much attention span. So, you need to get everything done quickly, and the main thing you're trying to get out is introduction to the world, introduction to the idea of how you can interact with the world, and combat. And that's kind of it. And so that's what you got to focus on. You got to lead them on plot rails. So I had written out these plot rails like, okay, this person's a pit fighter, the other person's their friend, this person's a champion pit fighter. She's so good that somebody's now got a plot to kill her, and they're arranging a fight in which she'll die. And her friend finds out about the plot, and they go to escape. When they go to escape, the guy, it's kind of like Thor Ragnarok, where the champion lives near the Colosseum but can't leave. He lives like a king, gets everything he wants, but he can't leave. Remember, they were locked in the room. That same kind of thing, where they live like kings, but they can't leave because they basically belong to the fighting pit. And so they go to escape, and the guards are going to stop them. They got to fight their way through the guards. Problem is, they kind of know the guards, so they'll probably do it non-lethally. That'll be cool. They go out they realize they got to leave the city. They go out and they find some adventure just outside the city, and this tumbles them into some new unexplored area where they get some new, whoa, this is all supposed to be mythological and doesn't exist. What's it doing here? No one would believe us if we went back to society and told them the story. And then you fight a boss, and they meet some tribes people who are, living in the deepest part of the jungles there where nobody can find them. And, they learn cool things. And that's kind of how it was supposed to run. One player realized that if they told the person, the pit fighter, hey, this person's setting up a rigged fight to kill you, they were going to want to actually go through with the fight. Because they are that kind of person. I'm not going to say it. No, I am. They're a follower of Cord. And they were like, there's a fight, I'm gonna fight. It's you're gonna die. They're here to kill you. They're gonna find a way to kill you. It's no, I'm too good. I'm gonna fight them and kill them instead. So they couldn't tell them. So they had to trick them out of the city. So they actually, one person went to the guard who they were supposed to have a fight with and explained the situation to him and said, I need your help getting her out of here under false pretense. So he ended up they ended up not having to fight him, and instead he helped her get the pit fighter out, and despite that he might get in trouble for it. And then, as if that's not bad enough, they get to the edge of the city, and he's like, all right, I got you out. You gotta go, find your... She's like, oh, they stole your drum. I'm like, yeah, okay, they stole her drum. She's like, I'm gonna kill them. They stole my drum. I'm like, oh, that worked, all right. He's like, yeah, go find your drum. I gotta go back to the pit. She's like, no. You're coming with us. I'm like, he works for the pit, and he's very loyal to it. He's not gonna leave. She's like, no, I'm gonna intimidate him into coming with us. I'm like, roll it. She rolls a nat 20 to intimidate him. He gets a 5 to resist it. I'm like, okay, he's going with you.
He's going.
So
he's really intimidated.
He was wetting himself. She's scary. They were friends. They were drinking buddies. And now she's like, no, you're going with me or I'm going to kill you. He's like, ah! So he ended up in all the combats after that trying to help them. The last combat, the boss was supposed to be this giant turtle. And there was...
Was it called Tank?
No. I gave it another name. I have its name written down. I'm not going to go find it. Giant turtle with a water elemental that was supposed to be protecting it. And they're going to, like, fight those things. And then, like, before killing the turtle, there was going to be this tribe that intervenes. Says, wait, don't kill our ancient guardian, please. Instead, Pit Fighter decided to try and seduce the water elemental because the water elemental was hot. According to her, it was cold. She was made of water. She was definitely not hot. So she started flexing at her and showing off. They didn't share a language. Water elemental only spoke Aquan. She did not speak Aquan. They couldn't talk to each other. So she just starts flexing, and the friend is like, I guess I'm gonna Vanna White for her, and just like starts hyping for her over there. So the elemental gets very confused, doesn't know what's going on. The guard they took with him got very thought this was a strategy to like make an opening for him to attack, so he ran and attacked. They're like, no, dude, don't! We're trying to hit on her. And so they ended up not wanting to fight the elemental because they wanted to seduce it, so they ran instead. And they ended up running to the tribe. So they never even ended up injuring the big boss turtle at all. They ran away, they ran to the tribe. The tribe was capable of speaking Aquan, so they were able to translate and get the elemental to back off, and then brought them into the town thing. Village, that's the word I'm looking for. Into the village. And we kind of ended there, as they're like learning about this hidden tribe and sharing stories of where they come from. And then my friend Nicole, she goes, "Wait, that was the final boss? We just ran away from it." I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, it was a decent strategy. I didn't expect it. It was funny."
Yeah. There's multiple ways to complete a task.
There are. So yeah, that was the thing. So I think those are all the highlights, way more highlights than we needed from my trip. So, tell me, Alex, about this RTX 2020 thing in my list.
They announced finally the days for RTX 2020 next year, which is July 3rd through 5th.
July 3rd through 5th in Austin, Texas.
Unfortunately for Tristan, it takes place around 4th of July.
Yeah. Which means travel's going to be poop. Wait, is there another reason it's bad?
No. Well,
Alex,
I mean,
Alex,
you were saying something.
Alex, my job pays me for holidays now.
Oh, actually, no. Actually, you would be the happy one. Or what?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know.
Oh wait, I can't remember which side you were on. Between I don't like it July 4th, I want it like later.
Oh no, I think that was Nicole saying she wanted it to be in August.
Okay, I don't know. There was like some debate in our chat group about it, and I can't remember which side you're on. But yeah, so again, it's around 4th of July / literally on 4th of July on Saturday. So now the next step is for them to open up Guardian applications.
Nice.
So
Can't wait for that.
Apply.
Cool. All right. Tell me about Borderlands 3.
Borderlands 3 is awesome. I have played through the first little bit. I'm level, I think, 16 or 17. So I'm a little ways into the game. I give it 2 thumbsticks, and it has done a good job of continuing what the first few did well, and added on to it. Like, the first few is just, go complete these missions, and that's it. Say that they've kind of linearized it a little bit while at the same time keeping it open. but at the same time, they've added more things. So, like, on the map, you don't have to do just missions. There's actually, like, little, like, hidden things that you have to find and complete. So you're not just stuck doing mission after mission after mission. And there's still plenty of guns. They changed the guns up a little bit, so each type of gun kind of has its own special characteristics to them. And the one bad thing I would say is I'm not a fan of the inventory system. Because it's... No, like, I don't know. For me, it's just difficult to kind of go through my items and kind of figure out which ones I want to sell and which ones I want to keep. So I wish they kind of did that a little differently.
Oh, okay. Is it still a list like it used to be, or is it like has the look changed at all?
It's now like it's a list, but in like a grid form. So it's not like the list where it's just like they're all down one line. It's now like in rows of 3.
Okay.
Yeah, and then they have... Yeah, it's just... Well, so that's when you're trying to sell stuff. When you're just in your regular inventory, it's actually like rows of 2. So you have 2 columns, and the stuff goes down it. I don't know. I'm not a fan of how it's set up, because then I have to I take a really long time having to go through and be like, okay, which ones do I want to sell? Do I want to sell this one? Okay. I pretty much just look at the price and I have to go back and forth between prices and the score of the item and just be like, okay, this is less price than this, so this must be better, so I'm going to sell the one that's the lower price and keep this one to
That's not
use.
necessarily true.
Not necessarily, because then I also have to look at the stats.
Oh. So something with better stats could end up being cheaper than something with lower stats?
Yeah, or like a different rarity. So like I'll get a purple that's like a score of like 150, and it'll be pretty decent, and then there'll be... But it'll have like a higher price, but then I'll get like a green or a blue that has better stats, but it's cheaper because of the rarity. But it's just like, but the blue and the green have better stats, so it doesn't make... It's really hard to like kind of grasp. Like, it's just like I want to use the one that has better stats, but at the same time they're not worth as much. So it does. So in my head, they don't seem like they're better, even though they have better stats. That's pretty much it.
Okay. But you're enjoying it.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I met the antagonist. Story's pretty good so far. I want to kill them, which I guess makes them good antagonists.
Yeah. It wouldn't be a very good antagonist, I suppose, if the player ended up saying, but I don't want to hurt them. I like them. I want to be their friend.
I'm still out of whether Handsome Jack is still a better antagonist than the 2 antagonists for this one. I think I need to play a little bit further in to kind of get a better judgment.
Sounds fair. Alright, well, thank you for telling me about that. Malachi! I'm not letting you stay quiet the whole time. I want you to tell me just what happened in yesterday's D&D game.
It was a cold day for follower of Cord.
Oh. Well, that doesn't sound very good.
Yeah, he found himself a very in a very tough predicament.
A few of us found ourselves in a very tough predicament.
So,
Yeah.
you're in the dungeon. Things were going well, I recall, because you went into a room that was a big chasm, and the party was trying to think of how to get across it, and then Leah discovered the solution, that there was an invisible bridge.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody was like, "Hey, we did it. That was easy."
Yeah, that kind of made me like, really? Yeah. When they started throwing sand, I was actually gonna ask you, Tristan, like, if it's illusion sand, would it still follow the physics of the illusion?
I mean,
If she
have
couldn't pick
you?
it up? I almost thought it was gonna be like, I was like, I'm waiting for Leah to fall, because if that's illusionary sand and she just threw it on illusionary ground, I wonder if that's an illusion.
Interestingly,
So
though, she seemed to be able to make it across.
yeah, unfortunately, no.
Unfortunately.
Wow. Wow.
So yeah, we proceeded from there into a room, into the next room, still trying to find where the lich is, and we came upon a statue of Somerset. I forget her first name.
Victoria.
Victoria.
Victoria
Or Vicky.
Somerset.
Yes.
And
This
she,
statue hang on. This statue confirmed that her nickname was Vicky.
Yep.
Yeah.
And as we entered the room, some people decided to read the plaque, and then crap hit the fan. And I totally demolished Leah. Unfortunately.
She, you were standing next to her when the fight began.
Yeah.
4 of the players turned on the remaining 3.
And 2 of those 3 were at the very end of the freaking initiative order. So...
I mean, I can't help your dice rolls, though I think that if you'd rolled higher in initiative, you might have done a little better.
Yeah, I want full ham on the poor little half elf. And I was actually surprised that I hit so much when I got freaking hit with the heat metal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my rolls were stupid lucky. It also helped that they had low AC. And Bleeder has such a high hit.
Yeah, Bleeder's a +10 for you.
Oh my gosh.
That sword is pretty, but it bleeds all over the place.
Yeah, so...
And
who was it that... What were the 2 sides? Who was on one side and who was on...
Mendes, me, and Cyrus all turned on Leah, Jebel, and Raiken.
So, yeah, it's very intriguing because I know. So Guaco and I, we were like, after we went down, we're both talking, and we're like, okay, something's going on here, because like they wouldn't have all like collaborated to go, so something's going on, and we gotta figure out what it is.
Well, you're dead, so...
Well, no, yeah, we're dead. Well, our characters are dead. That doesn't mean that we can't speculate.
It's true, you can definitely speculate.
Well, you're speculating in the afterlife.
And then Jebel's dead now, so pretty much, yeah, so half the party's wiped.
And the other half are slaves.
Or something.
Or something, who knows. I mean, you never figured out why they did it.
No. And I was, like, really tempted because I did have Dispel Magic.
Yeah.
So I was contemplating using it.
Oh.
But I was like, I didn't know how high the spell was, and I was figuring, like, and this is even if a spell is in play. So the spell magic can probably most likely not do anything.
It's always worth
But
a try
if
if you're
it
not sure.
did work, but then I tried to attack the statue, and so I couldn't use the spell magic.
That was an interesting strategy. I liked the thought that was behind that.
Yeah, it was funny because both Leah and Jumbo were like, "Oh yeah, attack the statue. I have an idea, attack the statue." I'm like, "Yeah, I was thinking that the whole freaking time to finally get to my turn, so you weren't the only one thinking it, and then it did nothing."
I mean, did nothing is a strong sentiment. I will say that it's important to remember that objects have their own HP. And if you don't do enough damage to destroy an object to reduce its HP to 0, it isn't destroyed.
True, I did minimize on like all my strikes.
Yeah.
So
It wasn't... So, I wouldn't say that you did nothing. I would say that you didn't do enough to know if that was the solution or not.
yeah, I like made a chip in it. I
You
took
did.
a rock out of it.
You took a little chunk out of it. So there was a very tragic scene in which the players died, and they learned in the most painful way possible that magic missile, each individual attack counts individually for failed saves. That's a strategy I recommend people remember. It's a good one if you're ever, having to kill other players, or if your DM is running such that an NPC gets saving throws when they go down. Yeah.
You silence it quickly.
Because each time a downed creature takes damage during death saving throws, it counts as an automatic failure.
So yeah, you do a magic missile. What did he do? Did he do a level 7 magic missile?
He did a level 7 magic missile.
They put 4 on Leah and 3 on Raiken as they were both down, and killed them both with just that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we maybe play with some new characters in the very near future.
We'll have to call the show Everybody Loves Somebody Else.
Yeah, apparently nobody loves Raiken.
No, we'll call it Nobody Loves Raiken. We'll come up with a good new name. Don't worry. Find out something. We got to figure out what the name of your new character is. Then maybe we'll name it after them if they're.
I think I have a name for the character. I can't remember it.
Okay, well, when you find it, let me know. We can.
And he was technically a follower. Well, no, the one that I have more fleshed out isn't a follower of Cord. The other, like, secondary to the secondary was going to be another follower of Cord. So.
Oh. So this one was Raven Queen, wasn't it?
The
primary
cleric,
secondary.
the life cleric.
Oh yeah, the life cleric, right?
I don't think I've chosen a god yet.
Oh, okay.
For that one,
So
it was the storm.
The Tempest cleric.
Yeah, the Tempest cleric. That was going to be the Cord one.
Yeah, which makes sense. So that was a very emotional session, and unfortunately, because of time constraints, and I feel so bad about this, I really do. I want you to understand, I hated having to leave it on a cliffhanger. I wanted to at least explain what happens next. But the problem is the scene that I needed to follow that to have everything kind of feel okay was going to take more than a few minutes, and I didn't want to push the game out any longer than it was. So I had to say, okay, I'm sorry. It's going to be a cliffhanger. Come back next week and see how things shake out.
Yeah, because I had to leave for work.
It's true. It's okay. It's all right. I think that I hope that what I have planned will be satisfying to people, at least. That it won't feel bad. That's what I hope.
We'll just have to wait and see.
We'll have to wait and see.
There might be some table flipping. Who knows?
I thank goodness that I'm doing the game online and I won't have tables flipped in my face.
Because, I mean, yeah, there was one point where Guaco was like, really learn about this?
Yeah.
You're killing 2 players off, like, fully killing them off? It's like, wow, Guaco is, like, getting really... really into this, which I agree. I mean, yeah,
it was.
We've had these characters for a long time. We've grown in with these characters, so
true.
There's always a possibility that they're going to die, and we need to accept that. But at the same time, it's really tough to do.
It really is, and I don't blame anyone for having hard emotions when it happens. It is always tough. So, it was an emotional episode. I think that anybody who's interested should go watch it, because it was a pretty good episode. And then check out the when we finally drop off the cliff next week. Or maybe we climb back up the cliff. I don't know. I don't know how you're supposed to end a cliffhanger. Do you fall off, or do you climb back up?
I mean, you could just keep hanging there.
Oh, no. That's terrible. Your arms will get tired. That's no fun.
You just, like, go through the whole week, or the whole, like, session next week, and they're like, all right, we're still on the cliff.
At the end of the session, it's just like, and cliffhangered.
And we'll just be like, wait, we never got any further. What happened with this?
Nothing's changed. It's like an episode of Seinfeld.
Oh God.
All right, I think that's good. I think we're far enough over time. Thank you both for coming and discussing stuff with me on this week's episode of the Player 4 Podcast, episode 182.
Dun, dun, dun. Malachi, what are we doing now?
Not getting the flip out of here.
We're not getting the flip out of here? We're just gonna stay here? On the cliff?
Why? My arms are tired, Malachi. Let me flip out.
Alright, I guess we'll get the flip out of here.
Yay! Good night, everybody. Hashtag good night.
Goodbye. Dun dun dun.
Dun 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 dun. That was good. What'd you think of that, Malachi?
It was alright.
It was alright.
It was alright until I got to start speaking.
And then it became awesome. Got better from there.